All right, so let's continue on with activity B. So we need to start over. So I'm going to kind of clear this stuff out. Okay, it says click clear. Use the gizmo to create 2 mice with these genotypes. And then we're going to have to put them in the parent boxes. Okay, so in order to do that, you're going to have to kind of use what you learned from your last gizmo attempt to put that together. Okay. So there's one that I found. And there's the other. Okay, so it might take you a couple of times to play around with it, but that's the whole point, is so that you can kind of examine the traits and start mastering how you combine genotypes to get the desired offspring. So you can kind of see what I did in the video, but I didn't walk you through it. The goal is that you can hopefully play around with it on your own. Okay, so this entire section is going to be talking about probability, okay? So you might want to read this introduction and the model, and it's going to tell you how we're going to find probability for 2 different traits in an organism, okay? So to determine the probability of a trait such as black fur and red eyes, we have to look at each trait separately in order to find probability a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is we are going to basically fill out this Punnett square using the fur genotypes, so the fur color first. So we're looking at specifically these 2 genotypes just for fur color, and those come from our offspring here. So if you look, the offspring that they told us to get, we have big F, little f, and big F, little f, so that's where those 2 are coming from. You're going to need to fill those out and then fill out your Punnett square. And then same thing down here, you guys, we just took the genotypes for the eye color from each of these mice. So if you can see, we have a big E, little e for this first mouse and 2 small e's. That's where those are coming from. Make sure you fill these out appropriately and then fill in the Punnett square, okay? So everything on that worksheet so far is just doing the work on the lab after you've gotten your mice down here. Then it asks you to predict, so this is just making a guess before you do anything. And then we're going to actually do the work. So it says multiply the probabilities together to find the probability of black fur and red eyes. So how to get that is, once you have your Punnett squares here, it's asking you what would be the probability for black fur from the Punnett square. So you can have a fraction. It's going to be something out of 4, okay? Same thing for red eyes. It's going to be something out of 4. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. Okay? So you're going to make sure that you put your fraction together here, and then you're going to also give it to me as a percentage. All right? The way you get one fraction is by multiplying those probabilities together. For example, if you have 1/2 and 1/2 for each of these, 1/2 times 1/2 is going to give you 1 out of 4, or 25%. So make sure that you guys know how to do that. Again, if this is confusing for you, there's an example right up here that you can read for help, okay? Then you're going to run the experiment. So we are going to click all of our helpful boxes over here. We're going to take these 2 mice and we're going to breed them together. So I cleared it and I'm using these 2. Again, I got those mice. That was my directions up here to get those 2 genotypes, which I just played around with the breeding till I found them. We're going to breed till there's 500 offspring. So let's clicking this button a crap ton of times. Okay, until you get to 500. So I'm just going to stop for time's sake and then answer these 2 questions. How many of the offspring had black fur and red eyes? So again, we're just back to reading this chart. Then it said what percentage of offspring had black fur and red eyes. So make sure that you click that box down at the bottom for approximate percentage. And then we're on to part C.